going here. And give me 1 second. What's going on, investors? Dust here from Investments, and I got a new setup going on, so a little confused trying to get that going, but that's no problem. Today we are going to look at some things. We're going to look at some charts. We're going to look at some of the charts that are doing really well, including Bitcoin, and some of the ones that we've been charting and looking at for a while that are, I got one that's up 24% today. So 24%, 16%. It's been a really nice day, especially for all the ones that we've identified, right? And we are, of course, going to start off with Bitcoin. Before we get into it, we'll look into some cryptos before we get into the stocks, and we'll just kind of truck along. If you have any requests that you'd like me to look at, feel free to leave it in the chat. I would be happy to get it on my radar. Also, if you're new here, my name is Dest, and you're with me on my road to financial independence, and trading is going to be one of the tools in my toolbox. Why is it a tool in my toolbox? Well, because it's done well for me in the past, and I want to continue doing this. I am subscribing to multiple different strategies for achieving financial independence. This is just one of them. This is why I say it's a tool in my toolbox, right? Let's start off with Bitcoin here. Very important thing. We were watching this chart, right, like a hawk, obviously, because it is the macro driver of the crypto market. Without Bitcoin charting, you do not know where the alts are going to go. So it's very important that you always start there. And over the past week, we were saying, okay, it looks like we are staging higher lows, right? So looking like we were continuing on higher. We really didn't want to fall down, but we were saying, well, you also got some room down to the downside to 25,300 and some change, which is this pinkish line. And the reason we were calling that, like, you could see a potential pullback because it correlated to your local high back in February, but then you also had this touchback in May on your pullback there. There was a potential that it could have gone either way, right? You could have had a nice pullback before springing higher, or you could have just sprung higher. And in fact, we have sprung higher above that $29,200 level, which we decided was our level based on just multiple touches of playing around in this area in May of last year. Plus, when we had this pullback. Actually, okay, even before that, when you had this massive run to test these all-time highs, I'm gonna turn this music down. The area it was pulling back to was this $29,000 level, and you can see just how many touches came about at this level. So we're saying there's a lot of significance to this level, and this is the level to watch. This is the level we're going to break out of. So as you can see, you also again had a little bit of touching on the upside, like you were playing with this level multiple times before you actually broke it. And it really wouldn't even surprise me to see a pullback to this level or even to dip below here anytime soon before continuing higher. Just something that sometimes happens where you have the strength to get above there, but maybe not the strength to continue on higher. So you're going to do a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a reset, and plus you're a little overbought right now. Like your RSI is already above, let's see where you're at, even looking like you're at like 84, which is like the highest of the year, except for in February you had it. So you're just a little bit overbought right now. Could potentially see a nice pullback, but I think that $29,000 line will hold-ish. Give or take a little bit, right? So that is an optimistic outlook on Bitcoin. Very good, very good, very good to see that breakout as well. You broke out above your local highs. You're at the highest level you've had all year since June of 2022, which is fantastic, right? It just shows that on the macro scale, which is the important part, that you're continuing to do this retrace to this important level, right? Like you're chasing that $60,000 level again, that 64,000. Will it happen? Doesn't matter. What matters is that it makes moves higher, because then potentially altcoins are going to run along with it. So let's take a look at some of these altcoins and see how they're doing. ICX on the weekly looks fantastic, but if you zoom in, one of the things I don't like about this one, it's just how far it's gone already. Like you kind of missed your opportunity here. You had your 1-2 touches on the bottom on that trend line that dates back to this January 20th. Just your important level, it was already tested and it already broke to the upside. So what we were saying is disappointing that we missed it, disappointing that the trade's not there anymore and it's too far gone. But these are the things you want to identify before they happen, right? And realistically, you do have a nice pullback as of lately. You are down to almost a 618, which is a full pullback. Like you could expect to start rallying after here. If someone was really risky or really wanted to get into this, this might be a good spot to add on to this trade. But for my criteria, it's too far gone. So what I want to do with this though is understand, what did it look like before pumping, right? Are any of the other ones looking like this? And we were identifying T-Fuel was looking pretty primed. You know, you had that nice bounce off this low at 3 cents, and since then you haven't really came back down. You've been playing around this level at about 5 cents, which you got a lot of price action out there. And then plus you're also starting to form an inverted head and shoulders formation, looking like a better entry than something like ICX right now. But I think the real winner is even Theta. Theta's looking better to me. You're getting higher lows staging, right? Like it's not as flatlined as T-Fuel is. You're also building higher highs, so that's good to see. You're staying above that dollar level. You're staying above your 200-day moving average, and you are broken out from this nice trend of the downsloping green line here, and you did a nice back test. So this one's looking better to me than T-Fuel. But there was a couple other ones that I put on my green list, I believe. EOS was looking very good. You had a nice upslope of that green line, and this, I gotta get out of this time frame here. You were bouncing off this all-time low, right? So your risk of getting in on this trade is relatively low, because you know you could set your stop loss for, hey, if it falls below this, you're out, because you do not want to own this on a downtrend, but you don't have much room to that kick out level, right, where it would kick you out of the trade, and the potential upside is much higher, right? So looking like it's starting to turn around, which is good. So this one is looking like it's primed for a trade. So I need to make note of that as I continue on, because I miss ICX, so I want to get in on some of these. Doge, you're looking like you're getting a nice wedge formation forming up, and a nice upsloping on the downside, right? So your lows are getting higher every single time. Looking like it's going to play out for a little bit, but if you see a nice breakout to this upside, something above the 10-cent level, that might be a good entry point for this trade. See if we can identify anything. Nothing standing out to me on this. It's okay. BNB also kind of ripping along here. You got a nice upslope on your staging your higher lows. Good to see. However, this one is much further above where all the other ones are, but it is also looking like it's reversing. So it looks like the trend is bringing you to the upside. This one looks really strong comparatively, right? But I think it boils back to what we've been saying this whole run is like a lot of people were looking to enter some of these blue chip cryptos, right? It's quote unquote blue chip cryptos like Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin. BNB happens to be one of them. Ethereum looking fantastic, and are you breaking out right now? You're borderline breaking out right now. The real test is you want to get past this local high back from August 22nd at $2,000 around. And that's correlating to your 382 from this conservative fib retrace. So we didn't even go to the all-time high to get your fib. And you have some nice room to run here to the upside. So looking really great. This is one of the best looking charts, I would say, out of all of them. It also happens to correlate with Bitcoin pretty well, where Bitcoin ran and it's breaking out while Ethereum is running and breaking out. A lot of the other ones are lagging, right? One of my other favorite ones that I'm looking to happen on this bull run is Litecoin. And reason being is something I keep saying is we got this long stretching green line on this bottom, right? And it dates back all the way to April 17th. What has happened every single time it's gotten down to this line? So the first time tested this line and you immediately had this nice run and took it all the way up to $300, almost $400. Then you settled back down. You got your typical crypto action where you had a nice massive pullback. Then you touched that green line again. What happened? Well, you ran again, and this might not look like a lot, right? This valley to peak compared to running to like $400, but I don't know. Would you be happy with a 550% trade? I would. Then you happen to hit again after a drawdown, and look at this massive run up you had all the way up to 410, maybe even higher. Then you had a nice drawdown and you're back at this level, right? So you're retesting this important supply line here, and you have multiple touches along there. So it just is screaming to me, well, every time it's done this, it's had a massive run. So I'm expecting this one to be even bigger, to be honest. And I don't know if Bitcoin is going to test all-time highs, but I do have a feeling that this cycle that Litecoin will be. Otherwise, maybe we get something like this where we get another 550% run. Not a big problem to have, right? Like there's way bigger issues than that. XLM looking like it's not too far gone to get into a trade here. Looking like you're a little late to the party, but it's not a terrible entry point if you do not have any, right? And if you're really keen on getting this asset, I would potentially see a pullback to this level at 10 cents, but it's almost showing like it doesn't have the sellage strength to get down to that level. Like it's trying to, but it's reversing too quick and it's continuing to the upside. So with Bitcoin breaking out, what I'm anticipating is that Bitcoin will kind of consolidate and level off for the next day or two, and we're going to start to see some of these alts pop, and that's kind of what we want to see. Like that's like the old school tradition of the way some of these cryptos worked, right? Where Bitcoin would run for a day, then it'd level off, and then the altcoins would take off, right? Like that's how this used to work since like the 2016 2017 days, and I don't think that is necessarily going to be the case, but we'll see if that tomorrow, when this levels off, when Bitcoin levels off, if some of these alts start to run. So what coins are you guys looking at? What cryptos are you guys into? What would you like me to look at? Let me know in the comments below. Would be happy to get those on my peripheral. Otherwise, I kind of tend to look at the same ones, especially being a US based person, because exchanges are rather limited nowadays. So you don't have easy time of buying anything you want anymore. And look at that, Bitcoin is still running. It's broken out right now. Fantastic to see. So maybe it won't even slow down, we'll see. Okay, I want to get into some of these winning trades that we're in right now. And I mean, this is the reason you watch a stream like this, is so that we can identify some of these trades together. This is one that we've been identifying since, I mean, we got on this trade at the breakout of this green line. But we have been watching it since about June of 2022. The reason being is there was a lot of insider buying from people within the company that was reported on by the Whale Watcher Twitter or something like that. I forget the exact name of what it is. That's okay. But it's sparked us to get going, right? Like, hey, monitor this. There's a lot of CEO or high level executives buying. Why are they buying? What do they know? So we monitored it. You were hitting important levels. You were touching these levels multiple times, right? You were falling back down. You were forming bottoms on here. Broke out to the upside. Then since then, you had a little bit of pullback, right? That's to be expected. When you break out to the upside, you pull back typically before running again. And that pop brought you above the 200-day moving average, and then you came back to retest it before popping even higher. And today you're on a nice breakout. You were up almost 30% on the day, which is great. It's absolutely great. And the reason we really love this one is because you have a little bit of a resistance at this local high at about 339. Then you have another bit of a resistance at 473. After that, you got 745, followed by $10.23. So you just got like a massive amount of room to run on this, this is a trader's dream. Like, if you're identifying this in a low risk entry position, you get into your trade early, and then you're just kind of like twiddling your thumbs, letting it go. You know, that's exactly what you want. So that's where we're at right now. And since our trade, we're up 157%, which I don't know, that sounds outrageous, but that is true. So very important to identify these patterns when you see them. Very important to keep at it, because this is the potential that comes from that, right? PEMIF is another one we've been in. This one I've had a position for a very long time. I bought way back, I think in 2018, somewhere around there. So it's been one that's been on my radar for a very long time. However, you still look to see what's happening with it, right? And when you see it test these important levels where it's like, hey, we're pulling back to almost all-time low levels, it needs to start ticking boxes in your mind where it's like, uh-oh, should I be making trades? And look at this nice parallel channel you had between this yellow and the green line, where you're just sloping down, and then you had a nice pop up above there, followed by a back test of the upside of that, followed by another pop. And we set our targets from this conservative high to the low, and we were doing a fib retracement on this, and we were saying, okay, well, where could we conservatively see our levels be? And we were saying to the 382, we were looking at a 50% gain. To the 50%, we were looking at 80% gain. To the 618, we were looking at 115% gain. And that's from around current price. So looking pretty good for that. I don't want to clear this chart, but I want to see if there's anything else I can identify. This solid red line is a pretty important level that we need to get above and hold, which we've kind of failed to do at this point. So this level at 48 cents is the next level to get above and to hold, and that's kind of important. Okay. Which one are we going to look at next? 0x had a massive breakout over the past couple of days, but you can see it's pulled back since then, which is pretty typical on cryptos, where you have a massive pull or a massive breakout one day followed by a massive dump the next day, where, hey, you know, that's just the name of the game, where people are willing to sell their positions out. What I really think is going on is someone's accumulating their positions. People are willing to sell out when they see these pumps, and someone's happily taking that. You know, they're happily taking it at these low levels, and they're going to hold it till we start to run again. 0x, this massive pump, has already pulled back to the 618, so you're pretty much fully reset, ready to go, ready to continue higher. And you can see we got this 30 cent marked, this 30 cent level marked, and that correlates to multiple touches either to the upside or to the downside, where this is the level you want to get above. And getting above here and staying above here indicates that this is going to continue on running. Looking really good, looking like it's continued after this nice falling wedge. You did have a little bit of a pullback, however, you are looking great on this one. I'm going to switch to stocks unless you have any more cryptos you'd like me to look at. If so, feel free to put them in the chat right now and I'll gladly take a look. Shiba's looking mediocre, to be honest. Not looking fantastic, but you are still making higher lows. It's just not as good looking as some of the other ones. Let's see XRP real quick. XRP, the level is at 51 cents that we need to be, or I'm sorry, 53 cents that we need to be above. And that correlates to this local high plus multiple touches in the previous time frame. You are broken out above that parallel channel. You've been broken out above that parallel channel since March 20th, I want to say. You did a little back test to the upside, but you know, you're continuing on higher, so looking really good on XRP, especially if you break that 53 cent level. Like if you do that, I see your next stop at 62 followed by 91 cents. So you're gonna start playing with the big boys once you break that 51 cent level. 53 cents, sorry. All right, let's start switching to some of our good trades in stocks. One of the better ones that we've identified, and this has been like a easy chart for us, was GE. And I know it's not a sexy crypto or anything. It's nothing to get worked up about like some of the other people like, but we identified a nice pattern at a key zone, and these are the things that you want to do. You want to identify a pattern like this. So you have an inverted head and shoulder. So you got your shoulder, your head, and your other shoulder, followed by your neckline at $82. Well, this head also correlated to a level that you hadn't seen since January of 09 at $36.61 after this massive drawdown. So after you had this massive drawdown, this is the level you came down to and bounced off of. So it's a very important level, right? It's saying, hey, this level should hold. It has in the past back in 09. And then you also had multiple touches back in 1991 timeframe, 92 timeframe, 1990 timeframe, where you touched it as resistance prior to touching it as support before having this massive run. What we were saying with this is, oh, okay, no, I'm not. But anyways, to do your measured move for this, You're going to measure from your neckline to the top of your head. You're going to copy and paste that here on your breakout of the neckline. And that's going to give you your run and your projected target, which is a 57% target. And you can see since we've broken that neckline, you've had pretty much nothing but green candles where you've continued to break out, and you're on pace for that. Is this an actionable trade now? No, you've already missed that opportunity, but this is the learning, right? Like, you identify these patterns, you get the trade, you see the trade, you enter the trade, and then you sit on your hands and you watch it, make sure you're continuing on higher. So we were saying that this measured move correlates to $130, which also correlates to this pullback you would get off the all-time high. Like, after the all-time high, this is the level it pulled back to, was $130. However, you have this green down sloping line where realistically we were thinking, well, maybe this is the turnaround of this chart and maybe it'll continue higher. Well, maybe not so much. Maybe this green supply line will act as resistance. You'll break up to that before continuing down a little more to just kind of play in this wedge to continue on consolidating, changing hands in the stock before going higher. So we're saying this might not be the ultimate turnaround in this chart, but it might be a nice position to get 57% gain, which we have entered this trade on the breakout of the neckline. Looking fantastic. So that was one of the other ones. Okay, so this is the one I really want to start talking about, is Amazon. Let's just make this pretty right now. So Amazon, this is the trade that is an active trade and really good. So Amazon is a really good position to start making a trade on it. And I'm going to start pointing out some of the indicators that are telling me why. First of all, do you think Amazon's going to be here in the next 10 years and thriving, becoming a better business, or do you think it's going to deteriorate over the next 10 years? For me, Amazon's a great addition to any portfolio, so it makes sense to put it in my portfolio. However, you're also getting trading patterns that are lining up on top of that to say, hey, this might be a good entry point for this trade. So pattern one, you have this broadening wedge where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches on this broadening wedge. And the way this broadening wedge works is a break to the upside, so a break above this top green line should bring you back up to the start of the pattern. So if that were the case, you could potentially see a 67% gain from where we're at right now. Great trade. You also have an inverted head and shoulders showing up, right? The way this works is you got to measure from your neckline to the top of your head, copy that and paste it over on the breakout, which could potentially be a 21% gain. So this is a trade that's at an actionable level. You had just broken out, and we're going to go into a higher time frame. Just broken out, done a little back test. You could potentially see more of a little back test on the upside of this green sloping line before continuing higher. However, this is a very actionable level for this trade. So this is the one I'm directing people to right now. This is the one I got my eye on. Yeah, so I am liking that, and I need to stop recording. Do that. And okay, so I am going to stop there. I do not have any more that I want to look at unless anyone has any in the chat. And let me look at the comments real quick, make sure there's nothing going on. No. Okay, so that is all I got. I appreciate you if you're watching. Like I say, let me know what ones you're looking at. Let me know which ones you want me to look at next time. I would be glad to. Either if you leave them in the chat for when the video posts or in the live stream, I don't care. I'm trying to do this 3 days a week, trying to get these words out, trying to convey my message and, reformatted in my head. Sometimes it helps to actually put it into words to see what the patterns are playing out. This is just kind of my trading journal of what I'm actually doing. So I appreciate you if you're here. Till next time, later.